Those Who Wish Me Dead was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Taylor Sheridan has been my favorite writer in Hollywood ever since I saw Sicario. When I first saw the cast for Those Who Wish Me Dead, I actually made a video hyping it up because Sheridan writes such great characters, and I was excited for what he and actors like Aidan Gillen could create. Unfortunately, and it pains me to say this, but Those Who Wish Me Dead was a disappointment, a pretty big one given Taylor Sheridan's history up to this point, and I'm going to get into what fell short for me. One moment in particular that was like watching LeBron James miss a free throw. It was absolutely shocking, given what Sheridan has said he values in stories. But first, I do want to begin with a couple things I liked. Spoilers ahead. As we all know, child actors tend to be pretty rough around the edges. There are some exceptions where they shine, Jacob Tremblay in Room, for instance, but generally, they have to be carried by the actors around them. But that was not the case for Finn Little, who plays Connor in the film. I thought he did a great job. The scene where his father dies, his reaction was very believable. He recovered from the death a little too quickly for me, but that particular scene was effective. His relationship with Hannah, who was portrayed by Angelina Jolie, was also pretty good. It was cool to see how she was able to acknowledge, like, yeah, this kid probably has it worse than me in regards to trauma and suffering. That was good. The set pieces were also extremely compelling. Having the fire creep up on the characters was a unique way to add tension to the drama occurring. Taylor Sheridan actually used practical effects for the flashback scenes, I believe, which is pretty awesome. The ambush on Connor's dad also felt true to Sheridan's stories, the way the car stopped and then was pushed down further by the bullets. I liked that. It made the situation feel more authentic. The shootout in Wind River had the same thing going on. People didn't have unlimited magazines like in other movies, and the violence was, it felt very messy and chaotic. In terms of things I liked, that was about it. There were some small acting things I enjoyed, but they're not really worth bringing up. My biggest frustrations with Those Who Wish Me Dead are almost universally about the characters of the film, although there were some editing decisions I thought were sort of odd, and the country song to end things, it felt a little out of place. The characters are what have made Taylor Sheridan films special over the past 6 years. Characters like Alejandro in Sicario, Tanner in Hell or High Water, and Corey from Wind River. And I could go on and on. Even little characters like Glasses Guy from Sicario. Awesome characters. I would go as far to say some of the best characters since the turn of the millennium, certainly the past decade. Those Who Wish Me Dead has no characters that are especially compelling. The hitmen are the most disappointing thing to me, but I do want to touch on Jolie's character first because at the beginning of the story, the woman is openly saying that she is suicidal. But I did not get that impression as the story continued. The movie shows us her pain in an extremely heavy handed way, and it didn't work for me. Think about characters from past Sheridan films who are suffering from the pain of failing to protect children or feeling like they failed. We rarely see Alejandro's pain and we are never really told about it. As the audience, we get hints that the man has serious demons, like when he wakes up from a nightmare and scares the shit out of Kate, but that's about it. Corey lost a child in Wind River, but early in the film, when his ex wife tries to bring up their daughter, Corey avoids the subject. There are only a couple scenes where we explicitly see his pain, but it's still relatively subtle. In the scene towards the end of the movie where he sees his daughter's picture, it's extremely powerful, a truly amazing scene, and Jeremy Renner deserves a lot of praise for it. In Those Who Wish Me Dead, John Bernthal's character at the beginning of the film says, "This woman has demons." And she tells him she might jump off the top of the tower she's been assigned to. It was just a bit much for me. I know what the story wanted to say, like, through saving this boy, she is making up for not saving the boys in the fire, but I didn't feel it, and I really wanted to. Now I'm going to get to the characters who I really want to talk about because, honestly, I'm still shocked by what I saw. When I heard Aidan Gillen and Nicholas Holt were playing brother hitmen, I was extremely excited because I love Aidan Gillen, and although I think Holt is just okay, with Sheridan's writing, I was confident his character would be intriguing. Boy, was I off the mark. For starters, if we weren't told at one point that they were brothers, you would have never guessed it. Besides Holt asking, "Are you okay?" at multiple points, they don't show any care for each other that would suggest they're siblings. In Hell or High Water, Toby and Tanner spend the entire film robbing banks and doing some pretty damn serious stuff. But they were brothers, 1000%. Sheridan's script took time to show us how close they were, despite being very different people. So there was nothing interesting from that perspective, and I believe it would have added a lot to the characters if we actually saw them being brothers. And that leads me back to the scene I mentioned at the beginning of this video. It was Aaron Rodgers missing a 2 yard pass, or LeBron missing a layup only in the world of art, which is something I rarely say, and I hate to say it because I love Taylor Sheridan. The scene I'm referring to happens, I believe, a third into the film. Jack and Patrick go to find John Bernthal's character, and they instead find his wife, Allison. They corral her, as you'd expect, these two appear to be former military of some sort, and after they get her under control, Nicholas Holt's character looks around the home and finds a room being prepared for a baby. When I saw this, I got really excited because I was positive that the little brother was going to return to the older brother and say, "Listen, this woman is pregnant. I say we just let her go, or maybe lock her up somewhere, after her husband is taken care of course." It would have shown a difference between the two, and maybe Aidan Gillen goes along with this risky idea because he cares for his brother, and he goes along with the moral boundaries he wants to draw. But instead of this, they just use her pregnancy to scare her into giving them the information they want, and we never get to see anything dividing the two men at any point in the film. They are essentially the same people, only the older brother seems to be a little more experienced. And you could say, well, letting her go would be kind of dumb given the situation, and that's fair, but at least there would be a reason for them to be dumb. The two brothers act like fools for the rest of the film without reason. They drag John Bernthal along with them, unhandcuffed by the way, to track the boys' footprints? They couldn't have followed the tracks to the tower without his help? And I could break down the individual moments that are just so over the top silly, but I can sum up my disbelief with one statement. Two hitmen with automatic weapons, who are trusted by the most powerful people in the country to save their asses, are killed by two women. One pregnant with a deer rifle, and the other with an axe. I don't think so. And by the way, I could maybe live with that reality if the two women were badass, interesting characters, but they just weren't. And given Sheridan's previous stories, I mean, Kate was a trained FBI agent and Alejandro took care of her with ease. These two hitmen should be at Alejandro's level, but they end up being the two worst hitmen I've ever seen in a movie. And if someone can give a better argument, please let me know. I seriously question how much of the movie is actually a product of Sheridan's mind. Maybe he was just trying a different tone for the film, make things a little bit more cartoonish. But given the way Connor's father is killed, and the innocent woman right after, I don't think I could believe that. It felt like a Taylor Sheridan movie that had its heart ripped out by a big studio. And again, I hate saying that, but the way the characters ended up, I have a hard time believing they actually are a product of Sheridan's pen. Hopefully, going forward, we will see more films like Wind River, which was independently funded, by the way. I still love Sheridan as an artist. Anything he does, I'll be excited for. But this was definitely a step back. I really can't describe it any other way. Christopher Nolan and Taylor Sheridan have been two dependable storytellers for quite some time now, but they've both had some hiccups lately, which is disappointing. I would bet on them having bounce back films very soon, but nevertheless, I hate leaving their films unsatisfied because I've seen the greatness of what they can produce. We all have. If you enjoyed this little breakdown, remember to subscribe on your way out and check out the analysis video I did on Sheridan's first film, Wind River. I much prefer heaping praise on a movie. But thank you so much for stopping by. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I will talk to you soon.